Percy Jackson and the Olympians Season 2 feels less like a fantasy adventure and more like something personal, like a memory you didn't know you were revisiting. Season 2 doesn't just continue the journey, it deepens it. It expands the world, complicates its characters, and embraces the idea that mythology matters most when it reflects the people telling it. And in doing so, it becomes one of the most confident, emotionally grounded fantasy seasons that Disney Plus has ever produced. Season 1 was solid. It did the hard work of world building, introduced us to Camp Half Blood, and proved, most importantly, that this adaptation would treat Rick Riordan's books with respect after the misfires of the earlier film adaptation. But Season 2, adapting the second novel, The Sea of Monsters, feels less like a test run and more like a declaration. The borders protecting Camp Half Blood are failing, trust is eroding, and Percy Jackson, played with growing assurance by Walker Scobell, is no longer just the kid who stumbled into a mythological war. He's someone beginning to understand the cost of being a hero. What makes season 2 work is Percy's evolution. He's still impulsive, still sarcastic, and still very much a kid, but he's also learning that leadership isn't about power, it's about responsibility. It's about choosing compassion even when it makes things harder. Scobell plays this beautifully. There's a weariness creeping into Percy's eyes this season, a sense that he understands the stakes now. He knows that people can get hurt, he knows that choices linger, and the show wisely allows him to struggle with that weight instead of brushing it aside. That growth is mirrored in the relationships around him. Percy and Annabeth's bond continues to be the emotional backbone of the series. Leah Sava Jeffries brings an incredible quiet intensity to Annabeth this season, a character defined not by bravado, but by thoughtfulness and restraint. Their dynamic feels lived in, like a friendship shaped by shared danger rather than destiny. Even Grover steps out of his comic relief shadow. Aryan Samadri gives him moments of real vulnerability and courage, reminding us that gentleness can be a form of strength. And then there's Tyson, Percy's half brother, whose presence introduces one of the season's most resonant themes: the fear of being judged for what you are before being known for who you are. Rick Riordan has always understood that Greek mythology works best when it's used as metaphor, not spectacle. Season 2 leans into that idea more than ever. The monsters aren't just obstacles, they're reflections of insecurity, jealousy, resentment, and fear. The Sea of Monsters itself feels symbolic, a place of chaos, uncertainty, and moral ambiguity. This isn't a clean quest with simple answers, and every victory comes with consequences. Every solution creates new problems, and that sense of instability is what gives the season its emotional texture. Visually, the show has stepped up its game. The environments feel larger and more tactile, ships creak, islands feel ancient, and creatures carry weight and presence instead of just CGI flash. What's refreshing is how grounded it all feels. Spectacle never overwhelms the story, it exists to serve the characters, not distract from them, a balance many modern fantasy series still struggle to maintain. Yes, there are changes from the book, some fans will debate them while others will embrace them, but what matters is intent, and the intent here is clear. The show isn't changing things to be flashy or modernized for its own sake. It's doing so to explore character psychology more deeply and to give emotional context where the page could rely on internal monologue. The finale, The Fleece works its magic too well, encapsulates everything season 2 has done right. It's tense without being rushed and resolves the central quest while opening doors to something darker and more complex ahead. Importantly, it understands restraints. Not every answer is given, and not every conflict is resolved, and that uncertainty feels earned. Not like a cliffhanger engineered for engagement metrics, but like the natural pause before the next chapter. This is a show that trusts its audience, especially its younger viewers, to engage with complicated ideas. It doesn't talk down, it doesn't simplify pain, and it acknowledges that growing up is messy, confusing, and sometimes scary. And that's why it works. In the end, Percy Jackson and the Olympians Season 2 succeeds because it remembers what mythology is for. These stories were never meant to be static relics, they were meant to evolve, to be retold, and to help make sense of a world that often feels overwhelming. This is a season that doesn't just entertain, it resonates. So, what did you think of Percy Jackson and the Olympians Season 2? Did it measure up to the book? What are you most looking forward to now that we're going to see the third book on screen for the first time? Let me know in the comments, and thank you for watching Fandom Frontline. I'll see you in the next video.